a girl a-running in a group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look at Buddy, hot rod at large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod. She's my hot rod.
California regulators last week. Nobody's making fun of my haircut today. That's why. She who will be obeyed. E-Rex, everybody's going, eh. California regulators last week proposed rules that would allow vehicle manufacturers to test or deploy small self-driving delivery trucks on the public roads in California. The DMV will allow trucks under 10,000 pounds to obtain a permit to test their autonomous driving capabilities for delivery. It's not clear yet whether or not they will require a safety driver that is required for passenger cars, because the passenger cars in California all have to have a safety driver, a person in the car to keep an eye on things. FYI, currently 62 companies have valid permits to test autonomous vehicles with a safety driver on California's roads. 62 autonomous companies. Tell me this isn't coming, boys and girls. It's coming. Two of the top entities in the self-driving vehicle race have taken a step back to evaluate the autonomous driving industry. Aha! Ford and Uber, big players, have changed their expectations for the debut of self-driving, but the actual vehicle capabilities that will be in place, things like safety, affordability, and a cost of development, are all in play. Just like when Ford came out last week, or Ford, GM, and Toyota came out last week, said, we don't know that we can make a safe car. Well, that brings me to a story I picked up on this week. I called Rick Federighi's show this morning or yesterday morning and told him about this development. And I said, Rick, I just cannot let this go. It's so good. Have you ever heard of RoboRace? RoboRace, probably not. That's my guess. Well, RoboRace is a new racing circuit made up of Formula One style cars that are all electric powered. Cool, huh? Not only are these race cars very quiet, of course, RoboRace is starting research into technology to make these hot rods anonymous. Sort of a life-size slot car, if you will. Kind of silly. Why is your car guy so interested, you ask? Well, let me just tell you, and this is what piqued my interest, because up until now, racing hasn't been involved. Racing is now involved. And I wonder are you aware that the majority of the ideas for safety devices on your cars and trucks came from, and your grocery getter, okay, everything from trucks, sports cars, and grocery getters. The automobile racing sport is responsible for more safety additions to your vehicle than you can imagine. Dead serious. I looked into it this week. I knew some of them for sure, but I wanted to look and I wanted to make sure that I had this all right. So I did a little research on this week. The first rear view mirror, mind you. Now, you and I take rear view mirrors for granted. Was used on a car during the first Indy 500, the very first Indy 500 race, by a driver named Ray Harun, who used it to eliminate the need for a ride-along passenger, a spotter, thereby giving him a huge weight advantage. Oh yeah. I think he won that first race, if I'm not mistaken. He used a mirror to decide whether to go over, move left, go right, pass, whatever he was going to do. Headrests. Headrests were first used by the Porsche racing team in 1950 to help stabilize the driver's head and help in a crash, of course. The NHTSA made them mandatory on all cars sold after January 1st, 1969. From racing, headrests. Suspensions. Almost all the safe handling suspension improvements can be traced back to racing. Sway bars, McPherson struts, even load leveling was first researched on the racetracks of the 70s and 80s. All that came from racing. The first seat belts. This is cool. This is fun. The first seat belts were used in 1885 to prevent being thrown from a horse-drawn carriage during a race. They were tested during the 50s on almost all racing circuits, and in 1967, they were made to become standard equipment on all U.S. cars and trucks. Pretty cool. Disc brakes. Jaguar began using disc brakes in the early 50s while racing the 24 hours of Le Mans, or Le Mans, whatever I call it. I don't say that right anyway. But they weren't mass-produced until Citroën, that's a French company, began using them in 1955. Today, almost every vehicle you see has disc brakes. Safe, better stopping, shorter stopping times. I'm telling you, safety came from racing. The first roll cage was engineered in 1950 by Spen King for Rover race cars and is known to be the beginning of a crash-absorbing body designs used by car builders today. You don't have a roll cage in your car, but your body is designed in such a way as a roll cage. That's the design. That's what they're talking about. They have used the roll cage design feature to build the body of the car for stability in crashes to make them safer. Believe it or not, you can look at a roll cage and look at the design of the interior of the car when there's nothing in it, and you will be amazed how close it is to a roll cage. Although traction control and anti-lock brake systems were officially banned from Formula One racing in 1994, they were first tested and developed by the Ferguson P99 all-wheel drive vehicle as early as 1960. So all the testing for traction control and anti-lock brakes started in 1960 with the Ferguson P99 race car, whatever that was. And oh yeah, remember this. Almost all the tires available today were first tested on the various racetracks of the race vehicles of the world and proven for traction and handling before they were mass produced for you and I for safer driving. Okay, why? Why is your car guy excited? Your car guy is excited about this for a very good reason. I've always had the concern about the durability of electric cars and the safety issues with autonomous driving. There may be some hope for new innovations that the hotshot engineers haven't thought of in their race to be the first on the block. In other words, we're going to get people looking at safety hard, not trying to be the first person on the block to make an autonomous car. They're going to make autonomous race cars, and they're going to make sure they're safe first. Because you don't build a car that costs $1 million and go out and crash it. You're going to make that car safe. You're going to have it. You're going to have steering. You're going to have suspension. You're going to have autonomous cars with sensors. The high-tech artificial intelligence that goes into autonomous driving is going to be used for race cars, and those guys will fine-tune it. They fine-tuned everything else that's in your car today. I'm dead serious. This is a glimmer of hope. It definitely is a glimmer of hope for the automotive autonomous world. Ford, Chrysler, GM, Toyota, they can all look up and say, hey, what is racing going to come up with to help us make these cars safer? I'm telling you, racing is the hot setup for safety. They don't let things go out on their track that are garbage. They don't let them go out on the track that are not right. Okay? I'm telling you, it's going to be the hot setup. You should know the United Auto Workers Union has taken another shot at organizing the Volkswagen plant in Chattanooga, Tennessee. A group of hourly employees has filed a petition with the National Labor Relations Board seeking an election to form a union affiliated with the UAW, United Auto Workers, to represent all full and part-time production and maintenance employees at the plant, potentially covering some 1,700 hourly people. Now, you remember back in 2014, I reported to you that 53% of the workers at the plant voted against union representation after hard lobbying. I mean, even after weeks of lobbying by the UAW and the UAW activist groups, they still didn't go for it. To begin bargaining with the Also in 2016, I told you that the National Labor Relations Board ordered Volkswagen to begin bargaining with the UAW after the skilled trades workers now, not the hourly, the skilled trades workers at the plant voted 104 to 48 to join the union. Okay? Well, the outcome will be different for the hourly workers this time around. I'm predicting yes. And it will open many doors for other unorganized plants. Why do you say, am I pro-union? I'm not pro-union, I'm not anti-union. But I know in the UAW and in the manufacturing of automobiles, the best trained, the safest workers come from union organization and training. It's just the way it is. I got a bunch of stories here from around the car world that are pretty crazy, and some of them we got to talk about because they're kind of cool. This one's a little bit nuts, but I understand why, because Colorado is Colorado. I mean, they get serious winters. If by any chance you are traveling through Colorado next winter, you could find yourself paying a fine for driving a certain section of I-70 without four-wheel drive or snow tires or chains. If this proposed bill passes, drivers found not complying would be fined $100 and a $32 surcharge. I don't know what the $32 surcharge is for, and I don't care. Unless the vehicle is involved in a crash and it ends up closing part of that highway during the winter. Then the fines jump to $500 and $156 surcharge. Apparently, I-70 is quite popular with skiers in the winter, heading to the various resorts. So the bill also calls for the checkpoints to enforce the new law. Now, if there's no snow on the road and you're driving with chains, you're going to tear up some pavement. I don't care who you are. And I don't think they're good for your car. I know they're not good for your tires. And if one of them should break and goes flying up onto the body, it's going to tear up the fender. It's going to, chains are a thing of the past. They work, don't get me wrong. And they've come a long way with some of that stuff, but I don't know. That's a little iffy to me. It just is. And meanwhile, back in Chattanooga, Tennessee, the place we were just talking about with the VW plant, a salesman at Mountain View Chevrolet is being sought in an investigation for kidnapping and robbing a disabled customer on April 1st this year. The police want to question Daniel Bryan in the kidnapping of a man and taking nearly $200,000 from his bank accounts. Ooh, baby. Yow. That's stealing. That's some heavy-duty stealing. Some new technology for you. In an effort to make their cars more and more hacker-proof, Ford is introducing a new key fob. That's that little thingy, it's not a key. It's a little thingy. It's got the buttons on it you push and that. That's called a fob, F-O-B. And they are introducing a new one that will automatically go into a sleep mode when not in use to prevent it from being cloned. Because that's the new thing with the thieves. They have a way of using their phone to clone your key fob and then start your car with their phone. But now it's going to go into a sleep mode where it cannot be cloned. One of the new and more high-tech ways for vehicle thieves to swipe your ride is to clone your key fob while it's in your pocket or elsewhere when you're not in use, and you're going to, later on, they take your car for a ride. In other words, you're in line at the local store shopping at Target or wherever you've been, and the guy sees your keys are hanging out of your pocket. He just goes by with his phone, hits his application button, clones it. Then he goes out and maybe he takes your car, or he follows you home and you unload your goodies and he unloads your car. They have to come up with new technology to steal these cars. You can't hotwire them anymore. Those days are over. That's why you don't see why do you think there are so many carjackings now? You're always hearing about this carjacking and that carjacking because they've got to steal them when they're running. They can't go sneaking in your garage at night and steal it. They can't go in the parking lot at the local gin mill and take it. You got to actually start that car for them. Or they got to come up with some kind of technology to clone your key fob so that they can start it. It's high tech. The thievery is either real high tech or real low tech. It's either, hey, get out of the car, I'm taking it, or I'm going to take it when you park it because I cloned your key fob. Pretty cool. Well, Hyundai Motors also says its new digital key will let consumers start Hyundai and Kia vehicles with their iPhones. Here we go. Drivers will be able to toss their clunky key fobs at using an iPhone or a phone app that uses near-field communication with an antenna inside the car or SUV. This digital key app also stores the driver's setting, believe it or not. It will adjust the mirrors, the seats, the steering wheel, and tune the audio system to your favorite station. Now that's new technology, all right? You don't think that's new technology? That baby is new technology. Hello. I just think that's wild, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Arabal, or however you want to pronounce it, Technologies is a French food cosmetics industry supplier, and they are developing a sensor to identify errant smells in a vehicle. My wife would love this, trust me. This detection system could zero in on a lingering smell from under the seat or leaks burning in the engine compartment. Smell coming from the seat. I shan't comment on that. In a recent presentation to the rental car industry, Arabel says its sensors could detect if a renter was, smoking or spilled something in the car. I can understand the rental car companies wanting to know what's going on because they have rules, no smoking in their cars. And, if you spill, you're supposed to clean everything up. But you never know. And you never know. A couple of times they take the car back, and a week later it's been sitting out in the parking lot in the sun baking it. And next thing you open the door and it'll gag you. It smells so bad. Well, that's what they're trying to get away from, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why they have to do that. I don't get it. But hey, if they're making money on it, guess what? Somebody thought of something cool. All right?